Well, we started more or less in going back to 2017 when there was an opportunity to attract a charity called Alexandra Rose to come to the city and bring their Alexandra Rose vouchers with them. And what that actually translates as working with children's centres to identify families that could do with a little bit of a boost and then supply them with a rose voucher that they can exchange for fresh fruit and veg at market stalls and markets. And they originally were all in London, and then they decided that they wanted to expand outside. So I put in a bid for Liverpool to get this. Of course, the only problem with all this is that Liverpool doesn't have the markets like you would have in Lambeth or Works in Wandsworth or Barnsley or wherever. So what we suggested was that there was this old mobile fruit and veg bus service that was still kind of puttering around the city, and could we work with them in partnership? And we didn't get the first lot of funding. They went to Barnsley instead, but because they have a lovely big market there, but they were really intrigued by the idea of a mobile bus. So they came back to us and said, tell you what, we'll have a go. So we started out with just two of the children's centres. We were with Toxteth Granby and we were with Belle Vale. And it gave a nice contrast because different people live in different areas, different people have different ideas about what food they like. So we're looking more at kind of vegetables in the city centre, fruit on the outskirts, this kind of thing. And it worked and it proved really popular, and we started to get a bit more funding and a bit more opportunities. So we expanded from 2 children's centres to 5. Meanwhile, the bus that we were working with was getting a little bit on the shonky side, and it wasn't perhaps the most well organised in terms of it was a converted library bus. So it was quite steep stairs. If you were older or you had mobility issues, it wasn't that easy to get on. So I approached Feeding Liverpool, who are the food partnerships, and they asked Feeding Britain if they might help us out with a grant to buy a new bus. So that went ahead in the autumn of 2021, and we had a new bus, which is a mobility van that we took all the seats out and then fitted it out with sort of bits and pieces. And we just did that on a kind of peppercorn rent to the old grocer, who was really not as interested as he could have been, if you see what I mean. So the decision was taken that we would actually take this in-house, and we set up a social enterprise, and we also renamed it all the Queen of Greens. And the reason behind that is because when you go to the market, which is now in Fazakerley, there's some old time scousers there, and I'm of an age where they call me Queen. I don't get girl anymore, I get Queen. And we just thought it was a nice sort of sounding thing, and we did a competition, and a little girl from Toxteth actually was the winning design, and we used that as our logo. And then we've been working in partnership with people like Feeding Liverpool, with Alder Hey, with Taurus, with all these other funding options to be able to expand the service. So we've gone from what was initially 2 stops to now 31. And we are about to start a project with the University of Liverpool where we are going to be going into social housing estates so that social housing tenants would also get an opportunity to try fruit and veg with vouchers that are supplied through their tenancies. So it could be a welcome pack, that they get a couple of vouchers to spend on the bus and see how that works. But for us, it's really an important project because it's not just about the fruit and vegetables, it's also about the social aspect. So we find that people really enjoy the camaraderie that they get from being on the bus. And we've started working with public health so that we can support people who might not have recourse to public funding. So that's enabling people to also get fresh fruit at the refugee centres. We work with schools. We work with the children's centres, and we also go to hospitals and medical settings. And we're looking forward to expanding more next year and seeing where we can go with this. And I'm actually really excited for the future of Queen of Greens because I think it's a simple solution to a difficult problem, whereby you can't put a greengrocer into every neighbourhood because that's just not practical. But if you can take a mobile one round once a week, it at least gives people options.